Transferable ministry tools are designed to be given to others who can give them to others who can give them to others and use them just as effectively. Today we're talking about why transferability is so important in our crew movements. Well, hey, this is Mark.
This is Kevin.
And this is Go to the Campus with Crew, where we talk about how to reach teenagers on a local high school campus.
Mark, this idea of a transferability, what is that about? Where does that fit into our conversation here?
We've talked about spiritual multiplication, and these go hand in hand with transferable tools. You just can't do one well without the other. So Crew has been built on transferable tools, starting with the 4 spiritual laws, which was written a long time ago. It's a very concise kind of gospel presentation written in a little booklet. And it was spread around, and the beauty of it is that what makes it transferable is that you could give it to someone, and that person could very quickly and easily share the gospel with someone else. That's what transferable means.
Yeah, Mark, the first transferable tool that the Crew ever used was a napkin, and that's what the staff were trained on to give what they were called God's plan, which turned out to be the 4 spiritual laws, which has turned into many other different tools now that are transferable.
Right. Some other transferable tools that we currently use that we really like in Crew are, one is called Solarium, which is some pictures that you share with people and have a gospel conversation. The Connecting with God booklet, which is a rewrite of the 4 spiritual laws booklet. Thrive Studies, which is our small group materials, and a concept called Target Group Outreaches, where you share Christ with a group of students on the campus.
You know, I think some of my favorite moments on campus have been when I've looked out on a quad and there are these small groups of students gathered around students that are involved in our ministry. And the student involved in our ministry has what you just described, the Solarium card or Snapchat. Yeah. And they've thrown these cards around and they're asking questions related to those cards. So they respond to the cards. And the thing I love about it is that there's a whole quad full of this happening. It's not just one person who holds this information and tries to give it out. The students easily are involved in this.
Yeah. And when we talk about spiritual multiplication, we're talking about people sharing Christ with people who share Christ with people, doing ministry that can be repeated over and over again through those people. Transferability is the tools that you use or the concepts that you use. So today we're talking about the tools, the concepts that help us be more transferable and do more spiritual multiplication. So the first one that we want to talk about today is that it makes ministry simple so it happens more often. And this simply means that as you create more simple, more easy to understand ministry tools and concepts, people like to use them and share them. We see this so often with things like our Snapshot cards and our Solarium cards that are pictures that help people share the gospel. They're fun to use. It's like a game. And when you make it simple and transferable like that, poof, it happens everywhere. It happens more often.
Yeah, you don't have to be a professional. You don't have to go through the weeks of training.
Yeah.
This is just like lock and load. I mean, it's amazing. Yep. Here, second one kind of relates to it. It's just easier to give away. So kind of early on, I used to carry this Bible study notebook that I actually hand wrote all my notes on, and I'd do these Bible studies, and I thought they were just like the end-all. I'm going to publish this thing or something, and I thought they were the greatest thing. But then I realized that all the information stopped at me, and if I tried to hand that to one of my students, they would never be able to read it, first of all, but they couldn't lead in that material. And so I was glad to when some good material came around that actually enabled them to do the studies themselves.
Well, and that's one of the reasons we created Thrive Studies, is because we wanted something that they could have on their phone, on the app, really easy to lead a study right there where you are, even if you haven't prepared for it. It's a very transferable way to do the ministry that we do every day.
Yeah. And our third point is very simple. Again, it gives the novice a training ground, a safe training ground to actually get proficient in a skill. The whole design of it, and I think of the Thrive Studies when I think of this, they're designed for transferability. And so it makes it easier for students to be able to pick it up, very easily look at it and say, hey, I can actually lead this. I don't have to be on staff. I don't have to have a degree. I mean, what is this? This is fantastic. This is just way of life, really fun.
When I think about this point, I think about our conferences and some in particular where we went and there's a new student who She learned how to share these the Connecting with God booklet at our conference. And she was a believer, but was never shared her faith before. And then that day we jump on a bus and we go talk to people about Jesus. And she's like, well, we're doing this for real. And I talk with some people, but when she's ready, she shares this Connecting with God booklet with someone and the person accepts Christ. And on the bus home, she's telling people, someone prayed to receive Christ with me. I did this. That's the beauty of having transferable materials. Because now she knows that she can do that. She knows how to do that. She knows how to communicate the gospel to her friends.
I don't know how many students have, they would come to our conferences and have a conversation. They'd say, I've never had the privilege of leading someone to Christ. Yes. And I smile to myself, I think, you wait till our day of outreach. And they are trained very simply in a tool, and they go out and literally, it's
beautiful.
So beautiful. Often they come back and say they're elated. Someone prayed to receive Christ with me.
Yeah.
It wasn't their gifting.
Right.
It was God's Spirit using a very simple tool, working through them to lead someone. It just brought down a barrier for them, and what a joy to see it in their face.
That's great. Well, the last point that we want to make is that transferability is spiritual multiplication's best friend. And we've already kind of said this, but it's hard for either of these two to happen well without the other. They go hand in hand. And so we do highly value spiritual multiplication, but as Kevin was saying, it can only go so far if you are if you're the expert bringing stuff to people. You can only multiply so far. But with transferable tools that you can train someone in, all of a sudden it's like wildfire. It goes everywhere.
Yeah, and it can happen among students, and that's the great thing.
It's beautiful.
Hey, let's go ahead and review. The main points have been 4 of them. It makes ministry simple. It's easier to give away. It gives the novice a training ground. And, as Mark so well put, it's spiritual multiplication's best friend.
I like it. Well, we have a question for you guys. We want to encourage you to take a look at the tools that you use and ask yourself, are these transferable? I'd love to know what you guys are using, because a lot of times we'd like to use things that aren't necessarily easy for others to use. I know I do. And to the degree that I can discipline myself to use more transferable tools, all the better, because then more people can know Jesus more deeply. And we have a recommendation for you. We talked a little bit about Snapshot cards and Solarium, and I just want to show you what those look like. These are Snapshot cards, and these are playing cards. They have these pictures, and they're fantastic because they start spiritual conversations. And I can tell you how to use them, but what I encourage you to do is just go to snapshot.cards. And you can find out all about them there. Pick up a pack. There's even some digital ones you can download for free and try them out. But they're pictures that really help you get into deep spiritual conversations with people and take you to the next level. So we would encourage you to check those out.
Best tool I've seen in years, Mark. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, thanks for joining us today. If you like what you're hearing, go ahead and subscribe, like us, share this with a friend. We want to continue to expand our company of listeners who believe that going to the campus is really where it's at. So this has been Kevin.
And Mark.
And this has been Go to the Campus with Crew.
So remember, when in doubt,
go to the campus.